A simple woman was told to take off her uniform, so she showed up flying a F-35 over their camp. Before we dive in this story, hit the comments and tell us your city or country. Let's see how far this story reaches. If you like the video, please subscribe. She walked into the supply tent with a tray of coffee, wearing standard fatigues. Someone sneered, "This isn't a costume party. Take off that uniform before someone gets hurt." They thought she was a joke, a cook, a cleaner, someone who didn't belong in uniform. What they didn't know, she was Major Keisha Hall, a U.S. Air Force combat pilot with over 2,000 flight hours, and the next morning, when she flew an F-35 directly over their heads during a live drill, no one said a word. They just looked up and saluted. Watch until the end. Keisha Hall never needed attention. Raised in rural Mississippi, she learned discipline early. Her mother was a nurse and her father was a mechanic. Respect was earned, not given. After high school, Keisha joined the Air Force not to prove anything to anyone, but because she loved flight. Years later, she was stationed at a forward operating base overseas. She had just returned from a night recon mission and decided to grab breakfast for her crew. Still, in flight gear, helmet tucked under her arm, she entered the tent. 3 soldiers, none from her unit, glanced up. Then came the laughter. Someone's playing dress up. "You lose a bet, sweetheart? You sure that uniform's yours?" They didn't ask her name. They didn't look at her rank. They just saw a black woman and assumed she didn't belong. She didn't argue. She just handed over the coffee and walked out. The whispers didn't stop. "She's probably admin. Someone's girlfriend, maybe. No way she flies jets." Keisha had heard it all before, but not like this. The tone here was sharper, more dismissive. These weren't just ignorant remarks. They were layered with quiet contempt, but Keisha didn't speak. Instead, she reported to the hangar, ran her pre-flight checks, and prepped her F-35 for the morning exercise. It was a live drill day coordinated with joint units across several outposts. At the briefing, one of the same men who mocked her earlier spotted her flight tag, Major Keisha Hall. His face froze. She gave no reaction, just reviewed the coordinates, nodded once, and walked to her aircraft. 30 minutes later, the base shook. An F-35 soared low, slicing through the sky in a tight barrel roll before pulling into a steep vertical climb right above the very camp where she had been mocked. Commanding officers emerged from tents, eyes to the sky. Troops stood still. Silence fell. The jet buzzed over the ridgeline, dipped in a flawless arc, then slowed to hover above the airstrip. Pure precision. Inside the tent, one of the men whispered, That's her?" No one answered, because at that moment, nothing needed to be said. The landing was textbook smooth. Keisha exited the cockpit calmly, helmet under her arm, sunlight catching the name stenciled across her aircraft, Major K. Hall. As she walked back toward the camp, a silence parted the crowd. Not admiration, not awe. Respect. She passed the same men from before. One began to speak, but she didn't stop. Didn't look back. She wasn't here for applause. She had flown 43 combat missions, rescued stranded allies, and guided trainees through blackouts. She didn't need to prove herself to them, but still, they'd never forget what they saw that morning. The woman they laughed at? She was the one protecting the skies above their heads, and from now on, they knew exactly who she was. Later that week, a photo of her jet mid-roll went viral. Captioned, "The pilot you laughed at might be the one saving your life." Thousands shared it. Young black girls messaged her. Cadets requested her as a speaker, but Keisha didn't change. She kept flying, kept serving, quiet, fierce, unshaken, because power doesn't always shout. Sometimes it flies 1,200 miles per hour, cuts through clouds, and answers ignorance with precision and purpose. The question isn't whether she belonged in that uniform. It's why so many people still assume she doesn't. Have you ever been underestimated for how you look, not who you are? Drop your city and country in the comments. Let your voice be counted. Take care.